I want to welcome everybody to this unveiling and honor for Terry Richardson. A couple of years ago, about 2 or 3 years ago, Scott Ewell conceived an idea for the Wall of Recognition, and it was created to recognize permanently commemorate people making significant contributions that help shape the character, history, culture, and identity of Rocklin. And I think today we're honoring somebody that fits that bill. I want to read, let me just make a couple quick introductions. We have a lot of the old timers here. I can't go through everybody, but we do have the mayor. Greg is here. He's going to speak in a minute. We have Bill Halden, who's on the city council. Where's Bill? Over here. I don't see any other council people. Oh, George. No, George isn't on the council anymore. He used to be. We have a number of former mayors. George Magnuson just came in. Oh, Jill, I'm sorry. The vice mayor is here, Jill Gallardo. We have a number of former mayors, Scott Ewell, Ken Yorty, Connie Cullivan, Ross Ainsworth, who will speak in a minute, and George Magnuson, who just came in with his dog. We also have a number of former planning commissioners, and if I'm right, we have Lynn Sully. Where's Lynn? Oh, over here. Herb Niederberger, and I guess that's it. Any other former planning commissioners? Oh, Dave Cullivan, I'm sorry. You come as a pair, that's right. I always forget that. I want to read for a minute. We have 2 or 3 people that want to speak, and then we're going to ask Angela to speak, and then we'll unveil the wall, the inscription on the wall. But I want to read, Terry, the nomination, the highlights of the nomination that was made. And these are the highlights. Almost no one has had as much impact on how the city of Rocklin evolved into the premier city it is today as Terry Richardson. When Terry was hired as the only city planner on the city staff, the city limits ended at Antelope Creek on the west and Aguilar Road on the east. Whitney Boulevard and Topaz were in the county unincorporated area. In the area where most of the population lives now, Stanford Ranch, Whitney Oaks, and Whitney Ranch was undeveloped grazing land. While the city was small, at that time there were plans underway for large-scale developments that became Stanford Ranch, Whitney Oaks, Whitney Ranch. Starting in about 1980, Terry was involved in the planning, review, and approval of these large developments. It was Terry's foresight that resulted in the city requiring complete plans of whole development proposals before any part of it could be approved. Under Terry's guidance and his gentle pressure on developers, plans were developed that showed where housing, schools, parks, shopping centers, business parks, industrial areas, open space, roads, and public services would be located. This required Terry to work with developers, the school district, parks and recreation staff, the county water agency, the sewer district, utility providers, to come up with a plan that met everybody's needs, but would also result in a high-quality community. At the same time, Terry was guiding the plan review and approval of individual projects, including housing projects, shopping centers, car dealerships, industrial parks, and business parks that we are all now used to. Terry also looked ahead and hired and trained staff of planning professionals that assisted in this effort. The residents and businesses of Rocklin owe Terry a debt of gratitude for his 31 years of foresight, commitment, and firm requirement that Rocklin be developed as a premier, family-oriented community. And Terry, this nomination was submitted and supported by 7 former mayors, 1 current and 7 former planning commissioners, and 1 former city manager. I don't know who that former city manager is, but he's here. I also wanted to mention that the present city manager, acting city manager, and police chief is here. Chad Butler, he's here. So with that, I'm going to ask now Warren Jorgensen, who's the chair of the Community Recognition Commission, to come up and say a few words.
All right, thank you, Peter, very much for that, and great to see so many people here today. Terry, on behalf of the Community Recognition Commission, congratulations to you and your family on being only the 5th name added to this wall of recognition that the city started 2 years ago. On September the 8th, the City Council, in a unanimous vote, decided to do this and add your name to this wall, which is certainly appropriate, and you certainly earned all of that. I think back, I moved to Rocklin in 1987, and in 1989 I got on my first committee, which was the General Plan Update Committee. And at that time, the late Kathy Lund was mayor, council person. She was the chair of our committee. And I know you were very involved in that with us and getting that general plan finished and out to the public within just a couple of years, which was pretty good at that time. So that was my first working with Terry. And then fast forward to around 2004, 2005, I was on the Redevelopment Advisory Committee, and we did interviews. We were hiring consultants that were going to like draw a picture of what downtown Rocklin would look like in the future. And so in my memories of those times working with Terry, I think of, I learned a lot about you from local government, about planning, but maybe in some ways most importantly on how to treat people. You treated everyone with dignity and respect. You're a good listener and just an outstanding public servant. And so again, on behalf of the Community Recognition Commission, congratulations on this. It's well deserved, and we welcome you today back to Rocklin. Thank you.
Now I'd like to ask Ross Ainsworth, who is a former mayor, to come up.
Thank you, Peter. Terry. Peter mentioned back in 1980 when the big major planning projects for the city of Rocklin became a reality. And my history with Terry goes back to 1979, and he may not recall this, but I recall it well because I had full leg cast, Achilles tendon surgery. He was upstairs in the old city hall, up the stairs on the outside. I was trying to do it in crutches. I was not a happy camper going up there that day to meet with him. But we were talking about Rocklin West, which was the precursor to Whitney Oaks and Stanford Ranch, and Terry was the planning director, and I thought, well, I'm going to go into this small town of 7,500 people, and we're going to have, you know, kind of a young and not with a lot of experience planning director. This could be a very tough meeting. It turned out to be exactly the opposite. Terry knew exactly what he wanted. He knew exactly how to deal with the consultants. He knew exactly what the right ways to approach the projects were, and we hit it off really well and had a long-term relationship with Terry as a planning director and our firm as a consultant. In 1984, at this guy's coaxing, I ran for city council, was elected, and then I had the opportunity to deal with Terry as a city councilman, and that can oftentimes, in my experience working with other cities, can be a completely different experience. The staff sometimes treats the consultants one way and the council a different way. It was not to be. Terry treats everyone exactly the same with high profession, honesty, integrity. It was an absolute pleasure to work with him on both sides of the cases because he always told the truth. He handled the staff, and you knew that what he said had the blessing of the city council and the city manager, and things were going to happen the way he said they were going to happen, and they were always in a positive direction for everybody concerned. I found, as a city councilman, I found Terry to be just that way, completely honest, and the same. We treated everybody exactly the same. I continued to work with the city after I left the city council, and the relationship stayed exactly the same. It was always very positive and very professional. When I look around, I've been living here since 1981, and I look around at the city and how it's developed, and the city council's had a lot to do with that, but this gentleman here had probably more to do with it than anybody else because he guided the direction of the decisions that were made. And Terry, I want to say to you, if you look around this beautiful city that you helped create, you can be proud. And I can tell you that was a job well done. And I want to thank you personally.
Now I'd like to ask Carlos Urrutia, the former city manager, to come up.
Hey, Terry. So in 1984, I was invited to interview for the city manager job. And I met with, I decided that the biggest issue for Rocklin was planning. So it made sense that I would meet with the planning professional in the city. And at the time, Terry was the city's planning manager. He wasn't a director because there was nothing to direct. You know, it was a staff of two. It was Terry and Kay Berryman. And the two of them did a tremendous amount of work. They had recently approved the city's general plan. Now, that general plan was approved under Terry's guidance. Besides it being amended once in a while, because there were minor amendments, that general plan guided the city's development over the next 30 years. So when I came, I said, you know, I'm going to meet with the planning manager because I knew that I was going to get the right information. I was going to get information that I needed for my interview with the council. So I met Terry, and sure enough, that was a fortuitous decision because Terry gave me the information, or most of the information, that I needed to persuade the city council that I was the right candidate for the job, and I was hired. So Terry, I owe my job to you. And anyhow, you know, planning, if you don't plan, if you plan a place right, you end up with what you have today. And so planning was really important. And after I talked to Terry, I left with the sense that we had a professional with whom I could work, who was going to be part of my team for many years. And that's exactly what happened. I was here for 26 years. Terry was here the entire time. He retired maybe 6 months before I did. So we were a team. But I tell you what, Terry handled the planning function, and he handled it well. It was controversial. You can imagine when the number one issue in the community is development, is growth, that you are going to have controversies over and over and over again. Every Tuesday night, and I don't mean every other Tuesday, which was my deal, it was every Tuesday night. One Tuesday with the Planning Commission, the next Tuesday with the City Council. Terry was always there, and there was always a controversial issue before that commission or the City Council. Terry was not the most popular guy in the room because there were always the people who showed up were mostly against the project. But Terry managed to deal with that without letting his personal emotions get involved. He was professional, he was thorough, he really left no stone unturned, which resulted in the City Council approving just about every recommendation that Terry brought to them. Now, he did not make those decisions, those recommendations in a vacuum. Terry was open to meet with anyone. He met with developers. He met with the staffs of other cities and the county. He met with citizens. And he gave them always the respect that they deserved. Now, they did not get what they wanted necessarily, but they walked away with a sense of having been treated with respect, having been heard. And very often, those meetings resulted in Terry adjusting his recommendation to incorporate some of the feedback that he had received from these various groups. You know, it was not an easy job. It was very hard at times because people would attack him personally. And all Terry was doing was carrying out the city's general plan. The city's general plan is the city's constitution when it comes to development. And Terry stuck to that plan. And that plan that was adopted in Terry's early days is the plan that is still in effect today, with minor changes. So he had a hand, a very, very strong hand in the way that Rocklin developed. And he did it with professionalism, with compassion, ethics. He did it right. And today Rocklin is what it is, in large part because of Terry's contributions. So as a city manager, I was proud to say that Terry was not only one of my co-workers, but one of my best friends in the community. And we kind of grew up together. We were both young, not little, but young. So when you kids and your grandkids and your children, when you walk away from here today, know that Terry was an amazing force in this community. And he really laid the foundation that we enjoy today. Rocklin is a great place to live, and Terry had a lot to do with that. So Terry, thank you. Appreciate all you did and your friendship over the years.
Before I introduce the mayor, I want to just comment as a former council person who served during the time that Terry was here. We started over in the old community center building in the back wall, back office back there, in the little tiny room where people could get right up in your face. And finally got a new, nice building. I want to tell you from the perspective of a council person, and I know that I speak for the rest of the former council people too, it's very nice to know that when you get in front of an audience that want to stop something or against something, that the planning staff, and Terry leading that, has given us honesty and correctness in the plans, and you don't have to worry about anything. You can stand by it. And that really helped over those 25 years, Terry, and I want to thank you for that. Now I want to introduce the mayor, Greg Janda.
Thank you, Peter. Great to see so many folks from the past, the history of Rocklin that did such a great job working with Terry, and has made my job as a council member the last 8 years much easier. It's certainly not easy, but it's much easier with a lot of the foresight and the planning that went into effect early on. And it's great to see so many past team members of Rocklin here today to celebrate this. When I began getting involved in the city in the early 2000s through the Chamber Leadership Program, I was fortunate enough to attend a few sessions where Terry spoke about the city and about his role and what the city means to the greater Placer County community. And it was clear to see that his dedication, commitment, and love for Rocklin was very clear and evident in the way he talked and how proud he was about all the members of the city that work hard to make this a great place. And I think just my involvement in the last 8 years on the council, seeing so many city staff who have been here long before I came around and worked with Terry that are still here. I mean, that just shows a real strong organization, a well-run organization, and a commitment to our community. You don't see that in a lot. I come from private industry where people are coming and going all the time. It's great to see just that consistency and knowledge that carries on through many, many decades, and we've all benefited greatly from that. We know this has been a difficult year, but as a city, we've had to postpone a lot of things, but we can't not live life. And it's great that Peter and Carlos initiated the nomination, and the council took this on and approved this unanimously this year, so we could recognize Terry and recognize the community as a whole that we are a special city that appreciates everyone who participates and works hard to make it a great place. And it was very important that we did this today. I'm very glad that we're able to do that, and good to see everyone here, and thank you very much, and best of wishes and congratulations, Terry.
Now I'm going to ask Angela Richardson to come up, and then once Angela speaks, we'll have Terry and Angela come up, and then the mayor will unveil the wall. Angela?
All right, this is going to be quick and short because I'm not the talker like my husband is. But we just really want to thank you. What's wrong? Oh, I forgot I had it on. I'm so used to it. Anyway, we just really want to thank you for this honor, you know. So working with the city of Rocklin has been one of the highlights in Terry's life. And I've always really enjoyed it too. City managers used to get together, you know, once or twice a year, and we'd go to a play and to dinner, and it was always just so much fun. And I just really look back at those times as just, you know, one of the highlights of friendship that we forged with of a lot of the people that were here in Rocklin. And so he did work hard. Terry worked very hard, and I missed him many Tuesday nights, and I probably called to check on him when he had those extra long meetings, and it's like I was up like, where's my husband? I'm waiting for him. But I know that he worked hard, and he brought a lot of that work home. And those late Tuesday nights, but he always considered this work rewarding. And one of the greatest benefits of this work, of his work, is all of our friendships. I'm sitting here, again, I'm not Terry. I've witnessed a small portion of his hard work, and he did work hard. I'm nervous. I'm missing but all of that hard work brought Rocklin from the small town when I first came here before we got married, and I was able, we went to the, what is that hall that was over there? It was a Halloween party there. It's over, I can't remember, there's like a Swedish Hall or something like that. Finn Hall. Anyway, so I met a lot of you then. I came up here, and he introduced me, and we went to all those dinner parties and everything. So, but this city is now one of the most desired metropolitan cities in California. And honey, I'm so proud of you. All of us are. And I love you so much. Congratulations. This is my honey bunny. Congratulations, honey bunny.